Supercell just had a secret AMA with the team for MoCo over at Supercell headquarters. Inside of this AMA, which is quite lengthy, I'm talking about an hour and 40 minutes in length, they go over all of the future plans for MoCo. All of the questions that you want answered are inside of this video. We're gonna watch this in depth today. Now, don't worry, I'm good. I got my coffee ready to go. We're gonna kick back, watch everything that they have to say and discuss, and talk about it ourselves and see if we're as hyped as we should be for the changes coming to MoCo. Now, just so all of you know, I put the speed on 1.1 times. A little bit quicker so it gets through it faster, but not too quick where they sound really funny, but it is sped up by 0.1, and they start out with an introduction about themselves, and I already have a few things to say. Let's dive in and see what this team has to say regarding MoCo and its future. And by the way, use code ECHO in all Supercell games. You guys have been using a lot in Clash Royale, and I really appreciate it.
We really love this game, like making this game the best mobile game in the world or the best game in the world, why not?
Also very frequently a lot of feedback about because you're just pressing buttons whenever they come off cooldown.
What it sounds like, you need to actually feel it.
Yeah.
We want Kairos live streaming with like 30 people death balls.
He wants Kairos live streaming. Did he forget about Echo? Did he forget about other content creators? He wants Kairos streaming specifically. My feelings aren't hurt.
Like that is the vibe that we're trying to capture for the whole game.
Let's go, baby. Mo Convo.
MoConvo is here, our first podcast, super exciting. Yeah, MoConvo is the name. I don't know if you guys approve. Do we have approval from the table?
We'll see.
Do you guys like the name MoCo? I didn't like it at first. Now it's grown on me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Ayushman is kind of like, is it divided? But yeah, welcome to MoConvo. We have a lot of hot topics to talk today. We launched our KPI last week. We're going to do an AMA to answer all the questions for the community. And we have like 3 team members here that are going to help us go.
If you remember, they're taking the top 10 questions from Reddit and from their forum, and I think from Twitter possibly as well, and they're answering those questions inside of this AMA.
Through all these questions. So first thing that we're going to do is know everyone here. So what I'm going to ask you, maybe start with the left side. I want to know who you are, your name, what you do inside the team, and also, because we're all gamers and we love to play games, your favorite non-Supercell game, just as an introduction.
I'm going to answer.
Let's start with the left side.
Okay, so hi, my name's Ayushman. Everyone calls me Iceman. I'm a game designer on the team, and my favorite non-Supercell game would have to be probably Dota 2, which I've played for many years. I don't play it anymore.
MOBA.
I still
Not
follow
bad.
the esports and stuff. It's a great game.
Awesome. Do you see like, sorry to interrupt, but do you see like esports on MoCo in the future? Would you like to see it?
Hopefully, maybe
MoCo
some dungeon runs,
esports
some
in the
PvP, I don't
future.
know.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I'm super locked in on esports. I love it.
Yeah.
I would love to one day to have it, but maybe more in the future. Now here on my left side.
Hey everyone, my name is Antoine. I'm a product manager on MoCo. And my favorite non-Supercell games. I'd say probably by the amount of like hours spent, probably Counter-Strike.
Good one. Counter-Strike.
So yeah, terrorists win. On my side, I'm João. I'm the that's camera of course. I'm João. I'm the community manager. My role with the community, with the company is, why am I repeating what I just said? So João, community manager. Favorite game. It's also hard for me, but if I had to pick one, it will be Hollow Knight.
Are you playing Silk Song?
Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm already like 60 something hours, and I'm like
struggling so bad.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with that game because I just want to finish the game. The game like has like some weird difficulty.
And that's what you were playing like during like working hours last time?
Look at those mugs on the table. Let's go MoCo, or let's go. I like those mugs. I would love one of those mugs. Also, do you think they're wearing shoes?
MoCo. But yeah, I still prefer Hollow Knight. It's, I prefer the atmosphere and how the game handles difficulty. Silk Song is a bit more unstable in that sense and too intense, too many hours. But yeah, I'm almost finishing Act 3, so ready to move on to the next one. But yeah, if I had to choose, it will be Hollow Knight.
All right. Hi, I'm Elis. Everyone calls me Elis.
Like
I'm
this
a
guy.
game designer on the team. My favorite game outside of Supercell would be World of Warcraft. I've been playing on and off for
There you go.
about 20 years, and I'm
There you
still
go.
playing every Monday and Thursday night with other dudes in their 30s and 40s who have little time otherwise.
Yeah. So amazing to have someone with the RPG kind of experience and love for that game.
What class are you playing?
Yeah.
I was playing Restore Druid until a few weeks ago when we had some need for balanced druid, so I'm switching between the specs.
Nice.
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 Classes, exciting.
Yeah. The word, the magic word already popping in here.
Now, for me, if you guys care at all, my favorite game of all time that's not a Supercell game is Gears of War 1. That's all I have to say. The game's freaking amazing.
Word that is creating a lot of, let's say, emotions within the community. But first things first, like, why are we here? So last week we released our KPI. We announced a lot of changes for MoCo. Basically, we are revamping the game in many ways. Just to resume, biggest ones were switching from chapters to seasons. So we're gonna like start rotating content. Instead of have like fixed rifts and dojos within chapters. We're switching from builds to classes. So the game, instead of like having this theory crafting where you choose your own builds, we're gonna have classes. Power progression is gonna be removed, so everyone plays at the same level. No progress preset, so all the progress within the game
That's the best.
stays in your account. No progress goes away at the end of any season. And of course, as an implication of all of this, we're not gonna have big updates. Let's say for the next maybe. We don't know, but at least this year is going to be unlikely. That we're going to update.
Quieting down now.
And considering all these changes and considering all these implications, my first question goes to Antoine. What I want to ask is, how much does it hurt that Eder scored the goal in the last minutes of the final match between Portugal and France in the Euro 2016?
You waited that moment to show me that beep and the table, really?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted
That's
to
funny.
throw it out there.
Hey, let's not get political.
No, I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm
thank
very
you.
happy for you.
I
You
mean-
really deserve the victory.
Yeah, I mean, Portugal barely wins anything, so it was a but yeah, let's move on. Jokes aside, let's talk about serious stuff, which is like our changes. First things first, how do you all feel the community reaction? There was a lot of emotions. How did you see that?
Well, of course, it's mixed, but you can see people being excited about some changes, but of course being worried, fearful for losing some of the things that they like about the game. And of course, at this point, because we can't show much, they just have to trust us that we can deliver.
Something we need to think about here is we gave feedback, and it was a lot of critical feedback, content creators as well as the community. And these dudes are the ones that are making the game. We never think about like how it makes them feel. They're putting all of their blood, sweat, heart, and tears into making these games. And then when it gets a lot of critical feedback, it's got to actually hurt a little bit that their ideas maybe weren't liked. Let's say like season resets or just being able to swap things around or the social ability. So it's going to be interesting to see what they have to say on how they're feeling about it, because it didn't get the best reception in chapter 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great to see people so worked up. Like, we know, hopefully it comes from a place of love, and they just want the game to. Like, we keep
100%.
reading these comments about MoCo has so much potential, and we really need to figure it out. So this is just us taking a stab at like trying to fully get to that potential that everyone sees in the game. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't take those changes very lightly, right? Obviously,
Yeah,
we
of
are
course.
building MoCo for players, right? So obviously, when we contemplate those big changes, and we know that some part of the community is going to be pleased, maybe some others will not be pleased. It's very difficult to have everyone, liking what you do or the changes that you want to make. So at the end of the day, I think we are. I would say, but maybe I speak only on my behalf, but we've seen some quite positive reactions to the changes that we've announced, so gives us kind of confidence that maybe we're on the right path.
It's so true. Like, you're not going to make everyone happy no matter what. And all the changes that they're making, I'm probably not even going to like as one person, but I'm going to like a bunch of them. I think what we need to look at and we need to keep in mind as changes are being made is it what's best for the game and for the success of the game. Because if you're someone like myself that really loves MoCo and sees the potential of this being the next massive Supercell game, we need to want what's best for the game in mind, not what you personally want for your enjoyment inside of the game. Now, those things oftentimes are the same, but we need to... A lot of us that are maybe watching this are players that really grind the game, that play a lot of the game, spend a lot of your time because you love the game. But most players that play mobile games and Supercell games log in for 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, and they play through their attacks in Clash of Clans, they go through their war stuff and their attacks in Clash Royale, they play a few rounds of Brawl Stars, and they need to make sure that the games are really accessible and enjoyable for those players, as well as some of the big players that spend tons of hours inside of the game, or people that are inside of esports. So it's a tough balance, but when you think about it, most players are those more casual ones, which are the ones that are really going to be, you know, the large numbers inside of the player base.
For that pivot.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, when you change so much, it's impossible to generate consensus, right? Like, we're basically, in some ways, building another game. Not exactly another game, but a lot of things are different. So it's impossible to generate consensus. Some players that are playing the game right now, and if they are playing, I don't know, 100 days after the last update, it's because they really love the game and love the game the way they are, the way it is. So changing a lot of things that they like, of course, like, it's going to generate like some feelings of, you know, like displeasing, which is, I mean, it's normal, but we also saw like a lot of positive reactions. I was actually like very pleasantly, not surprised, but like, for me, it was like a green flag when we saw our creators. And like, by the way, just to clarify, we never like tell creators to say this or that. They are super free to give their honest opinion. And like, creators were really on board. So for me, like, that's a huge green flag. So yeah, of course we're gonna like dive deeper into why are we doing these changes. Like, of course we don't change the game so drastically lightly just because like, oh, let's just change the game because it's fun. There's like huge motives for us to do that. We're going to explore those.
Yeah, and I think sorry, I've made notes, so I'm going to check my notes.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it's important here for us to also talk about like the fundamentals of the game we are not changing. So you're still going to be like hunting monsters. There's going to be open areas. There's going to be rifts. There's going to be different gear to collect. And there's also going to be like cool merch for you to try out, like outfits and mounts. And it's also, we're trying to get it to be way more social than it currently is. So you really have it's much easier to play with your friends. So I think the fundamental aspect of MoCo, we really want to keep that. And this new setup almost like allows it to shine a bit more, hopefully.
Can't make a new meta without breaking some features. So on the individual feature level, you might be disappointed that we are removing something, but it might be absolutely necessary for us to do something else, which is even better and worth it in the big picture.
Yeah, and I think like it's before like answering community's questions, might be a good idea to actually like first things first, like answer the question like, why are we changing things so drastically? Why are we just like not fixing some issues that the current meta has? Like before we dive into this question, just like to give like also like a perspective. So basically MoCo right now, we have great indicators for MoCo. Like first things first, like we see that players engage a lot with the game, sometimes even too much. I think like we already seen that like a lot of players play MoCo for a lot of hours in a row, which might explain a bit of burnout as well.
Yeah, we need some more touching grass maybe.
And like players
they legit just said some gamers are playing their game too much. That's funny.
At least for the first 2 weeks when they play the game, like we have super strong indicators that like players love the game. The problem is after, like a lot of players and most of our players just drop game after like, let's say first 2-3 weeks. Like that's the huge problem. The ones that stay, they love the game as it is.
That's worth noting as well. When I go through my friends list on my game, 95% of the players that I played with, and I had essentially my friends list was locked up because I was live streaming, I was accepting all friends. 95% of them don't play anymore. The initial part of the game, so we could say that how chapter 1 was in the game, excuse me, was so engaging, so much fun. Like you just wanted to dive into those mobs and run with, as he says right here, run with Kairos on his live streams. You just want to be a part of that community. There was something so addicting to it, but that's what fell off, and that's what they need to find the love for yet again.
But the problem is like all of these players, which is like more than we wish to, are dropping the game very early.
And also, maybe to add on top of this, what we've seen is that when we released Chapter 2 in June, we were hoping to see a lot more players, re-engaging with the new content, right? But well, what we've seen was not exactly what we wanted. So it was also like for us kind of a wake-up call on, okay, maybe the way we approach content, having this like big chunk of content, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3 being released every. So we started with like 3 months, right? Originally we had the ambition to do it every 2 months, but obviously producing high quality content takes time, right? But realized that there was not enough players moving from when they were like reaching the end of a content, even if they were in the end game, there wasn't enough players going into Chapter 2. So far, it was a big wake up call and say, okay, maybe that's not the right approach.
Even myself, like I'm a content creator. I was putting out videos every day for MoCo. It was not only a game that I love playing, but it was part of my career as a full-time YouTuber. Even me, I put down Chapter 2. I didn't get stuck to it. I didn't love it. And something that was my biggest thing that I disliked the most was the removal of your progression and having to start over. It's a Diablo 2 mechanic where a new season comes, you start a new character. It was done differently inside of MoCo, of course, but you would start a new character, have to regrind it with all the new meta changes and things like that. I personally don't like that play style. I want my progression to always live on with my account, no matter what game I'm playing, MoCo included.
Yeah, I think on the launch of Chapter 2 also what we saw that maybe the launch itself wasn't as exciting as it should have been, because when you log into the game we have this new content, but you have to play for a week or so to get really into that new content. So before that you're kind of still doing the Chapter 1 stuff. So that's also a bit of a issue with this model.
Yeah, and I think there's also this like I've at least seen this on Reddit, people talking about like why don't we just get more players? But I think there is this fundamental problem of like if we get like I don't know like 500 million players today, the people who are at elite level, I'm just maybe it's possible, but even if we got that many players, the people who are like right now stuck at elite 100, those players are not going to reach there. So it's not going to solve the problem of like the best players who play the most are the ones who are playing with bots also the most, because there's so few players who filter through the whole system and end up there. So I think there has to be like we discussed this a lot, and we actually discussed this even like before summer, after summer, for weeks and weeks about like how do we kind of solve this problem. And I think that's the root problem that this system, the new MoCo 2.1, I guess, is trying to solve, and then everything else is just ways to solve it.
Of course, yeah, and like also to clarify, like there was a lot of like research here, right? Like it's not just, and when I say research, it's not just like reading comments on Reddit or Discord or social media. It's like deep research. We're not like taking this decision lightly and based on nothing, or just like we want to do this because it's fun. Like we analyze a lot of data, a lot of player behavior, how like play tests, surveys, how player like interact with the game, how players interact with builds. All of that was like taken into account to make decisions. So yeah, and considering all of this, so is there a world where we could just improve our current system and still get where we want to go, or was this like, let's say, impossible to do, and like we really need to change the game so drastically as we are doing right now?
Well, I think maybe to build on what maybe Alice said, we think that the foundations of the house were not the right one, and if we were to build, a nice flashy house and decorate it on top, at the end of the day, the house would not be the house that we want.
Yeah,
and so we feel that. Oh man, that was a terrible metaphor.
I don't think that was a bad metaphor.
But
I get it.
We felt that we had to do like a big change, and not just like small incremental changes, and take like months and months and months to try to see, incremental improvement on how the players engage with their content, or they stay in the game. And we felt like we needed like to take a big swing at MoCo, be bold, take risk. And hopefully.
And I think historically also with our other games and maybe even stuff we worked on before, it's always like if we make a change, for us it might seem like a really big change, but when it goes out, like for the players, a lot of them don't even get that there is something changed. So I think for us to actually gauge the impact, the change needs to be like big enough that it's completely like something very different from the current one. And then maybe over time we can kind of find a middle ground if required.
What a great point he just made there. He basically said, if the changes are small, people that have played the game in the past that loved it and then fell off aren't really going to see that the changes are there. It's not going to be impactful enough. So you need to have a big splash of a change to bring all that excitement back for those players. Really good point there. By the way, he has amazing hair. I don't know if you guys like it, but I think his haircut is great.
But I think it's just for us right now, the focus is to try something that's big enough to actually make a difference and to kind of, yeah.
Yeah, building on Antoine's building metaphor. I think if you need to change the foundation, that's actually pretty difficult to do one block at a time. So it's much easier, leads to better results to do it all at once.
Huh.
Plus, then it doesn't take 10 updates. It's just the one that takes a bit longer.
Yeah, of course. So and I mean, it doesn't mean that the current meta doesn't have its problems that deserve a fix. I mean, players talk a lot about balancing. That could be improved. The end game needed improvements. That could be improved as well. Some social mechanics in the game that could be improved. But would that move the needle to the point where we want to? Maybe not. And that's why we need to revamp the game in such a, let's say, drastic way.
Wow.
But as you said, also Ayushman, in the end, the game will be the same in the end, in the matter that we're still hunting monster, we're still going on rifts, dojos, worlds, and so the fundamentals will be the same. So maybe in that, when we go to the arena or to the maps, it won't be as different in that regard, hopefully, because that's what makes MoCo a great game. Is when we enter the arena and we play the game, it's so thrilling, it's so amazing that. I mean, that won't be lost for sure. So we're taking what's very good on the game and hopefully improve on the sidelines.
Yeah, definitely improving it. It's going to be way better.
Yeah. And I think we're going to talk later, but I also feel that maybe classes aren't still explained enough how good they are. But we're going to get there. First things first, we had a lot of comments. I have, for example, ATL and Rejangles, I don't know if I'm saying correctly, from Discord and Reddit. And they are asking what happens until then? What can we do to keep the game alive? Because now it's going to be 3 more months without updates, and of course the players that love the game are a bit displeased because nothing much is going to happen to the game. So just to give again context, I already explained a bit this on the KPI, but basically we're relocating our efforts to building the new MoCo revamp. So all the efforts that were being used to build Chapter 3 are now transferred to building this new MoCo revamp, which will take time, which means that we have to make this sacrifice, which is leaving the game. I'm not saying abandoned, but not updating the game. Is it ideal? No. In an ideal world, we would still update the game until this is done. But at the end of the day, we have to make choices, and the choices was to invest on the future, on the long-term future, and maybe disregard a bit the short-term future.
It's the right
That's the
choice.
thing.
Choice.
We want to be, this is a huge ambition, but that's how we do it here at Supercell. We want to be the biggest mobile game in the world. If it's not the biggest, then it's the second or third or fourth biggest, if our other Supercell games are there in the first 3 positions. But even then, we want to be the biggest one. And not the biggest mobile game in the world in 2025. We are not speedrunning success. We're shooting for the long term, right?
I love that.
Of course, we understand, we empathize with players. Of course it sucks. If you love the game, you want to see more content, and 3 more months, they already waited 2 more months, 3 more months without content. How much more are we going to wait? But we have to see this, in 3, 4, 5 years, maybe we'll get to our destination, and will these 3 months matter as much when we think about 2, 3, 4, 5 years? We'll all forget about these 3 months.
That's true.
In that time. So
if the game's successful, long term.
It was a tough decision.
Yeah, it was the hardest part of the decision was...
Yeah, exactly as you said. How do we do? Do we focus on really trying to improve the game and make sure that MoCo, is successful in the future? Or, do we also take care of the players, right, that are already in the game? And
I'll tell you what, man, Supercell always takes care of their games first, and this is why their games live on. If their games go live, for the most part, those are highly successful over long periods of time. Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and Brawl Stars are the three biggest examples of this. Clash of Clans, 10 years old. It's doing so good right now as a mobile game, one of the more popular mobile games. And me, you guys know I have kids. I'm at a football game last night with my sons watching the varsity football game, and all the football players are around. Do you know what they're all playing? Clash Royale. It's like getting a huge meta pop in my area right here. So I'm of course showing them my account and how beastly it is, and they can't believe how good of an account I have. But it's funny, like, these games just live on forever. And what they're saying here is they want to build MoCo to be a game like that. It doesn't need to be number one on month one, but over time they want to grind to be one of the best mobile games. And I absolutely love that. And they're making the changes that they're making to meet those goals.
And I think at some point we're going to talk about the team size as well. Is that our team size also doesn't allow, having like this double focus. So yeah, we had a lot of discussions internally. How do we proceed best with that? And yeah, I think you explained it quite clearly. For us, we believe that having all our efforts on focusing on the future of the game is more important for now. That doesn't mean that the game will feel, dead and abundant. There's going to be some like events and some live ops, but it's going to be relatively like quiet or quieter than it was before.
Yeah, but it's definitely going to be the calm before the storm.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Good, that's
once we
fine.
come out with this new version,
I'm okay with that.
It's just hopefully going to be like,
It's
And-
going to be a huge update.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to paint the walls if you're moving to a new apartment.
So
And that's gonna be the metaphor of that. But there's gonna be a lot of interaction, between you and the community. So I just feel it's gonna be a lot of exchange and a lot of updates. So
Yeah, of course. I mean, like when I said on the KPI, like, and when I reached Ayushman, like, hey, I want to do events, it was actually that, like, mindful of like players feeling that the game will be empty, and hopefully I'm still trying to play with things. Let's see if I can do something meaningful. But like, in my part, I will try to make the game as alive as possible. Of course, it's not the same as doing like big updates, but hopefully we're gonna do like things with creators, with the events and everything.
We
Let's see
appreciate
what
it.
we can do. But like, at the end of the day, yeah.
something on the in-game events. So there's gonna be some in-game events running, but it's gonna be a lot of like some of the most popular events that we run in the past are going to be maybe rerun. Maybe some going to do like we've done in the past, like some community voting on what kind of events the players want to see again in the game. But not to be expected like new, fresh events in the game, at least for that period where we need to focus.
Definitely.
So let's first, before talking about the hotter topics, there's a question from many players, which is like they are concerned that like this new rotating system. So we're going from chapters to seasons, where like we're gonna have less events, but they are like rotating. Less events available at the same time, but they are rotating. For example, Kairos and also a few players I saw on Kairos' video that were worried that we would lose all this feeling of immersion, because like right now you can jump in from world to world and feel this like kind of like RPG kind of immersion where you can like explore vast worlds. Expectation was also concerned that like, because maybe he saw on that image that we shared and that image doesn't exactly represent what's going to be reality, but he was concerned that we're going to have just one rift and one world and one dojo per day, and that won't be enough. So 2 questions. First, can we create this immersive and content-rich feeling that we have in the current version with the new system? That's one question. And second question is, how much content will players have available at the same time?
So, should I go?
I can take the second question first, and we don't know. We need to do some tables, test it out, do the playtesting, and figure out what is the right amount. And then, of course, even after we go live, if we are pushing out too much or too little, then we need to adjust.
Yeah.
And that's all up to us to just find the best version of the game in terms of content and how quickly it rotates in and out and all that.
Yeah, but also I think one thing to note here is because the content is going to be so fleeting. So firstly, there's going to be a lot more content every day. So it's not going to be like one open area and a rift. We're going to probably have like at least 3 or 4 open areas. We're going to have like maybe 1 or 2 rifts. There's going to be difficulties in the rift and then the difficulties will be hopefully like more fun to beat because you can't get stronger. We'll come to that later, I guess, in the podcast. So you just have to get good.
But you can get stronger, but not through power progression.
Yeah, I mean, you can get stronger.
Jedi stronger.
Yeah, sure.
Mentally stronger.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think one of the problems with the current game is also like you have to just play the same content a lot. So you unlock a new open area and it's cool, but then you're playing it for like weeks till you unlock the next one. So in this model, I think we're also going to be like doing a lot of like, I don't know, for the lack of a better word, a lot of remixing. So it's not just going to be the same open areas that we have in the current game just on rotation. We're going to be just changing up the monsters. We can do like an open area which only has jumpers, for instance, like, because it's all just there for a short period of time. I think we can experiment with much crazier things happening. Like, we have this prototype dungeon we've made where you just have to run around finding more bots. So we can do a lot of much crazier gameplay-wise things without worrying too much of it just permanently being in the game forever and ever. And then, we have to just constantly keep tweaking it. So I think hopefully the rotating content actually does make it maybe deeper is not the best word, but more varied. Like
more eventful.
Yeah, more eventful. It's going to feel very different day to day. If you got bored with something and you stop playing, if you come back after a few weeks, you're not stuck at that same hunt. What was that? There was anyway, whatever. Like stuck with some mission about some very rare boss that you can't find. It's just done, so you don't feel too bad about it. Also,
He wants to get rid of the stuck points.
It's
That's
just
good.
constantly fresh and constantly interesting, and it gives us room to experiment and make more fun stuff without worrying too much about does it fit well, is it gonna for the next 20 years sit in that spot at XP 30 or whatever. And then so yeah,
just on top of what you said, so we are doubling down on the tools, right, to create content, so that we really have this flexibility that Iceman was mentioning. So I personally see it as really our sandbox, right? We're going to be able to at first like ship content. We don't know exactly what great looks like for us in terms of the how we structure the content, the volume of content, but we're going to be trying a lot at first. The first couple of seasons is going to be for us like bit experimental, I would say.
Of course.
We're going to see what works, what doesn't, what players like, what they don't like, and then we'll adapt. But we'll be able to adapt very quickly.
Yeah. We can react to community feedback just like this.
Yeah, in a matter of
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember like when we did the first Gauntlet events, the first weeks players were like hating on PvP events, right?
Yeah.
We tried like once, twice, 3 times, and we're like, okay, this is not working. What did we do? We double down on PvE events. That's what's player like, and that's what we can do with the whole game, not just with weekend events, but with the whole game. We can like go crazy, experiment, and if players don't like, we change like the way we approach those events. That's how.
I've said this so many times about how they do it in Clash Royale. Back in the day, they used to bring like limited time events, like when 2v2 was a thing. They brought it back as like a special event. If it works well, they bring it back and they do it more often. I love that they are implementing that same strategy here. They're going to try things, see what works, bring back what works. What doesn't work, they can cut and keep modifying from there. I think that's always been a Supercell strategy to success, and just glad to see they're doing it here as well.
How exciting this will be, and like I can't wait to really try this out, because I can't wait to see the crazy ideas that we're going to put in the game and how much fun they will be. And
I think players will also like for example with the big Draenor Rift that we made, it's kind of, in hindsight, it's kind of weird that when we put it out, it's only certain players see it and then everyone else sees it. Like it's all spread out across time, because it's only when you reach level 35 or 40 that you see it. In this model, everyone sees it at the same time. Everyone's like discussing how to beat the nightmare difficulty or whatever. So I think it will just hopefully it's just a lot more fun.
yeah,
I think that also touches on the question of like depth and in terms of the immersion, that everyone will be experiencing the narrative and story at the same time, and we want to have these seasonal themes, weekly themes that tell you more about the world of MoCo, and that all the content that we are putting out on that week makes sense within that context.
Yeah, and you should feel like you're part of this startup and you're hunting monsters together, and if you joined this week, this is what we're doing this week, and it's just like, I think it's way meatier, and it allows us to like improve it. In the earlier model, like whatever we learned from chapter 1 and 2, we can only put that in chapter 3, and then for new players coming in, they still have to play chapter 1 and chapter 2. And then it just becomes such a huge task if we want to like if we come up with some new gameplay mode, if we want to insert it into chapter 1, that just becomes like this massive like rebalancing and this crazy like
and also one of our like core values is have like a true social experience. Like with our current and old model, imagine you play the game for 3 years, right, or like 3 years after launch, then the new player joins the game, starts from basically the first level, those two players will never play together,
Yeah.
right? So you know,
mean,
I want to invite. Depend on maybe on some level,
maybe they catch up and yeah.
but like 3 years of content, we're talking about dozens and dozens of chapters. Those players will never play together.
This is something that is handled in another game that I play. It's called Diablo Immortal. It's an action RPG. It's the mobile rendition of Diablo, and it does not have seasons, and progression does continuously grow. And what they do inside of that game is, I've been playing for 3 years, and I've achieved like as max level as I can get as far as level goes, not as far as power goes, because that game is actually very pay to win, unlike how MoCo is going to be. But the progression can, for new players, can be and is, for someone that goes into the game today, 1,600 times faster until a certain point than it was for me. So I see players joining the game now, getting themselves to my level within a month's time. And it's taken me 3 years to grind through that because of the power progression boosts that they can get. Now, they're missing some things. They're missing certain gear. They're missing things that I've grinded over time that they haven't put the time in for. So the system that Blizzard is using for Diablo Immortal is not perfect. It's good because it will get players to be able to play with endgame players over a short period of time, let's say a month. But I think Supercell wants to do it different. I don't think they want players to have to play for a month to play together. So I'm curious to what they're going to say about the no power progression mechanic that they're adding to the game.
So
Yeah.
there's just
I mean,
no.
it happens in the team. Like we sit together to play some dungeons, and then suddenly one guy's like, "Oh, I haven't unlocked this one yet," and then we're like, "Okay." So
Yeah.
just like, I think if we just need to like be
Even happens to
better
them.
at solving all these problems.
Yeah, I also heard like whispers in the corridors that like with this new system we can create this kind of sort of like, let's say, community events when there's like this big monster where all the community like joins together to kill this monster that has like a huge HP bar. So this
Love
is the kind
that.
of things that we can like just pull off like this, right? And
I mean, not
not like the. I mean, I don't want to like downplay your work. I know because like sometimes people is like I don't know, like programming and designing is just like this. Oh, I have this idea, I do like this, and computer reads my mind. No, it takes time.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that like introducing these things will have more flexibility.
yeah, and then the cool part is once we do make that system, then we can reuse it like this. So it's like the first time maybe it comes out in season 2 or something. But then after that, it's going to be like just there for us to use whenever we want. We can have it
Big
just
bosses. I love that. 1,000
sorts of-
player
Make the job
bosses.
easier as well.
Let's get
You
it.
know?
or harder.
or harder,
Harder.
yeah. I mean, at least more exciting for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if the game gives me tools to be more involved with the community, I mean, even better. Yeah, moving on.
Wait,
Uh,
I have-
okay,
I have
not moving on.
Not moving on. One more thing I'd like to say is that one impression, because there was a lot of feedback about FOMO.
Yeah.
But I think not everything is going to be on a daily rotation. So that's another thing that we're going to experiment with. So it's not like if you don't play one day, you get to miss out on something. There will be some things which will be daily, some things which might last for a week. We might have a big rift which lasts for the whole season. So it's not like we're trying to find the balance where it's fresh frequently, but also that it's not so daunting that you just feel like it's this heavy, like, oh my god, I need to play every day. And
Yeah, and I mean, if you put a lot of love and effort into a piece of content like a Rift set, then we also want players to see it.
Yeah.
So then we want to make it last longer. And maybe if there's something that lasts a short time, maybe that's a bit more throwaway, maybe something experimental that we maybe don't put everyone to see. We are just figuring out like how does this new thing work.
Yeah, two creators that were concerned about FOMO was Expectation and Kairos. When if it's too much FOMO, it might be actually like bad for players because they get so anxious that they are missing out that they just drop the game because like I can't keep up with this game. That's not the goal. Even them as content creators, which I understand, is like, how am I going to create content around this or that if content is always disappearing? No, there's going to be like more lasting content where they can create content. And actually, I mean, I'm not a content creator, so I don't know, but I feel like if there's always like new events, they're going to have always new stuff to create content. But of course, we are here to help them. Maybe they have access to some events beforehand and show to the community before it appears.
I think it's always cool how they think about content creators. I mean, at the end of the day, the super creators, we are here to promote their game. And we do that in the form of reacting to a video like this and discussing what they're talking about, or putting out guides for different events. I personally like when there are new events consistently coming to the game because it gives me fresh content to put information out on a regular basis. It's nice when some of those things are repeated so your content doesn't live for 2 days and then that video is dead forever. But that's not really a game specific issue. That's more of a content creator specific issue. So I'm going to just move on.
So
All the players will play those events, not
Yeah.
just the one at the end of whatever content we have, right?
Yeah,
So the content creators, when they talk about and they promote like a piece of content, a piece of event,
that's a good point.
everyone can access this content, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah. We
event.
want those. We want Kairos live streaming with like 30 people death balls like every day. Like we right now it just happens at the beginning of a chapter and then everyone kind of spreads out.
Yeah.
But we want. I feel like that is the vibe that we're trying to capture for the whole game.
Yeah, actually going a bit off script, I think like those death ball moments and.
Shit.
Oh yeah. Are you scared of going off script? No.
No, I'm just getting some water.
Okay.
Just putting some alcohol in there.
I was wondering what was in those
No,
notes.
because like I have a script because we have to go through all the questions. So this is not a community question; it's a me question based on you talking about death balls. But like one of the most favorite things that the community likes is like doing those death balls and hunting those mega charges.
100%.
Like XP reigns and all of that. Will that still be in the game and like meaningful?
Yeah,
Or
100%. I think those are the cool things that we want to keep and that we want players to experience, and we want players to just be like, tell their friend like, hey, come, there's this massive mega charge happening. And I think all of the changes that we're thinking about just enables that to work way better.
yeah.
When they took out the megas dropping massive amounts of experience, it kind of ruined things as well. If you remember in chapter 1, you'd be able to get massive amounts of experience exploding out of a monster that you all came together to fight, and that was so rewarding. It was like going to a slot machine in a casino and you winning the jackpot. And that's the feeling that you want. And when that was dulled down, it kind of took away that euphoria that you get from beating that boss. Even if it was less of a visual thing, I don't know, man. I think that it's important that that comes back. You want to have that feeling when you take down a mega that it was worth your time and that it literally made your day from taking down that boss. That needs to be brought back.
Yeah, of course. All right, so I think it's time to move to the juicy topic. And the juicy topic is asked by many players, and maybe the loudest question is, why remove builds? And giving again context. So if you look through, especially to Reddit, we're probably like where the most hardcore players are concentrated. So a lot of them are unhappy about losing their ability to theory craft. So basically to make their experience more personalized, to make them feel that their character is their own, which is like a very like RPG kind of motivator. Many players want to keep builds, and at least others are also more conservative or more open, are more suggesting to at least give some sort of personalization, maybe some horizontal progression to classes. However, when we analyzed player behavior, we also saw a lot of players actually like, they don't experiment with builds, they just, they don't either change builds or they just go with whatever the higher level they have, they go with, they don't switch, or some players also comment that they are tired of going through YouTube channels just to see whatever build, and I'm one of those two people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we have like very like different feedbacks from the more, let's say, RPG mindset kind of players, and the others like maybe more casual. And I had to bring this position between hardcores and casuals. I mean, it's not an easy position, and sometimes we have to serve both, and both are of course important. But yeah, there's a lot of different feedbacks from different sources that gives us different directions. So like if you go on Reddit, it feels like it's consensual that players want builds, right? But if you see to other sources, it's not as consensual, right? The reality is that like theory crafting is not for everyone.
That's my point right there that we made earlier. As he mentioned, the people on Reddit are the hardest of core players inside of MoCo, which are probably a very minute percentage of the players that play the game. Let's give it a generous 5% of players. 95% of players want to be able to just jump into a class. They don't want to have to theory craft. They don't want to have to watch my YouTube videos on what the best builds are. They just want to be able to easily jump in. And that's the balance that Supercell needs to make, because yes, you want to keep that 5% of your hardcore biggest grinders happy. That's very important. But if you only keep them happy and you lose 95% of player base, what happens to the game in the long run? No, it doesn't do well. So there is a balance that needs to be done, and that's why I think classes, although they take away a lot of customization potentially, it's probably better for the game long term.
Not everyone has the patience or time to like go what's the best build and everything. So the question is, why are we removing builds? And is there a way where you can have the best of both worlds?
Well, maybe we could start with what are some of the issues with the current system, with the free builds and the 3 slots. First of all, like if you think about how many different permutations of gear combinations you have, it's, I don't know, millions, billions. And then even from the balancing side and the design side of a new gear, it gets really complex, and then it kind of forces us to be kind of conservative in the designs, because everything has to work with everything, and it can't create any broken or overpowered combinations. And then we need to balance everything for kind of the best use cases, which also leads to this like hidden information in the game that you need to know that Vampire Teeth is only really good with fast weapons. If you use Vampire Teeth with a slow weapon, then you're kind of doing it wrong. But the game doesn't really tell you that, and it's just these like things that are not necessarily that fun. So even though there's billions of combinations, like if you are anything of a semi-serious player and you want to like perform well in rifts with your friends, then you need to find these like kind of meta builds that someone has calculated that are more optimal than the others.
Yeah, and I think also like one major thing is that, especially from our more hardcore like players who are on Reddit, there is also very frequently a lot of feedback about how the game feels a bit boring because you're just pressing buttons whenever they come off cooldown.
Yeah.
And I think the solution, we can't really solve that with the mix and match gear system that we have. So if we want to also develop more skill play where it's not just press buttons when they're off cooldown, but you want to like set up a particular situation and then execute it. And there is a skill involved in kind of trying to use a weapon in the perfect way, and you're chasing that like kind of, I'm going to get that perfect combo and do like 1 million damage or whatever. So we need, I think this system allows us to kind of make the gameplay way more interesting with these moments, and with like you're actually like mindful about what you're doing, and it's not just like avoid red area and press buttons as quickly as you can.
Yeah, for example, with the wolf you saw in the video about the new classes, like we can have abilities that have synergies with the other abilities and the weapon of that class, which we can't do in the current system because everything has to work kind of with everything, and can't have these like specific effects.
Yeah.
For example, on the wolf, you can have this like one ability that helps you gather this power that then allows you to use another ability to empower the wolf.
Yeah, so everything works together, right? Like
Yeah, so
your weapon, your gadgets, everything works together, and
Yeah,
you
so-
have like to make a combination where like your skill expression is transferred to that as well, right?
Yeah, and then we can actually make this really deep gameplay where there's a
Yeah.
lot more room to improve and learn how to optimize the class and find these like optimal ways to play in different situations, because it has more depth and a bit more complexity, more elements to play with.
Yeah.
My thought here, in short, although I love the ability to customize your build endlessly now the way it's done in MoCo, if you look at all action RPGs are, or most action RPGs have a class-based system where you choose a class and then you could do some modification along the way of that class, but you are within a certain class. And I think that the synergies that they're talking about right here is really important. It's going to allow for us to do even more with those classes. At the end of the day, all in all, I think that classes are a good change here for the game, all in all, for the majority of players.
Yeah. And it,
One thing maybe to add is that classes will have also different level maybe of complexity. So some classes will be a bit more accessible, more not player friendly, but just more accessible.
Yeah.
But some others will require a bit more time, to be mastered, and it will allow
That's
really
good.
players to maybe to express really their skill as much as possible on their specific class. We'll have to see, and it's not decided yet how we want to reflect that. Is it, maybe some classes will have maybe 5-star. In that case, maybe that one's maybe complex. Maybe some classes will have 1-star. That one may be more accessible. We'll have to see.
kind of wait. And I guess the other point is also like the main philosophy in MoCo with the weapons or the classes now is always been like, depending on what the situation, you kind of switch up what you're using. And I feel like in this model, it's way stronger because the classes the way we're making the classes is they're really good at very specific things. So if you go into a rift which has a lot of like small monsters, then there's probably like a specific class that you want to take. So it allows us to create this like very tight gameplay in specific conditions, and it's very clear for the players, I have this class and this is going to be great for this situation. So we expect you to actually be switching classes and figuring out the composition of teams a lot more in this model. And I think another point which is maybe a bit lost in translation with the KPI is that we're going to have a lot of classes. Like currently we're converting all the weapons that we have into classes, and then we're going to build more. So it's not like a conventional RPG game class where you pick one at the beginning of the game and then you're just playing that. It's like we want you to constantly be switching. There's still going to be weapons
Actually, class it's probably not going to be the name that we're going to be using.
Yeah,
class, it's been the internal name, maybe to make it easier to understand when this ID has been presented, but it's probably going to be just the weapon, right? Probably.
Yeah, we can't.
So they're talking like, if you think of every weapon inside of the game, they're all their own class. I mean, we're going to have tons of different classes. You're basically going to be choosing your primary weapon that you want to play with, and that type of gameplay style that they're synergized with all the other elements of the build, and then you just go from that. So there's still going to be a lot of, I don't want to say customization, but a lot of choice available to you as the player, which is actually really good. I didn't know that.
And say like we're removing weapons and replacing them with weapons, because then it's like
Cool.
And also this just selecting a class removes this micromanagement that you need to first figure out what piece of content are you going to play, which rift or open world or dojo. Then you need to go to a wardrobe and figure out, okay, what do I actually need for that? Then you go in, play it, then you realize, oh, no, actually I needed something slightly different. Then go back to the wardrobe, choose which is one passive, then you go back to a portal. So you won't have that. You just pick your class and
yeah, because most of the current builds are also like the main point is the weapon. So you pick the weapon and it's almost like the other stuff you fill in the stuff that works well with the weapon. So it's like you're not gonna, like if you're running Spinsicle, Whirlwind Axe is our internal name, but yeah, if you're running Spinsicle, you're probably not gonna take like gadget smart rings. You're gonna take like attacks. So it's like already kind of like a bit like that, where depending on the weapon you choose, your options, meaningful options for what you fill up the rest of your build with is kind of limited. Maybe you can choose a bit like some choice between the gadgets and passives depending on the situation, but we don't think it's like meaningful enough. And also then one thing that also happens is sometimes there's this super broken combination and then it just runs the whole game.
Yeah,
and then, yes.
The forbidden word. I don't know why I brought this. Okay.
But yeah, and then it just becomes like people who are not in on the secret just end up getting these weird matchmaking where if you don't have like squid blades, people are just like trolling and spinning around and like not doing the dungeon seriously. So we want to avoid that kind of like gameplay as much as possible, but we want to keep the fun of like, hey, you can be invis. So in the video there is a class which is built off of squid blades where you are invis, but you know, you can't just take all the other spells and just, you know, exploit it, and you know, we don't have to nerf it.
Yeah.
This is really cool. Actually, when you think about it, every season that comes, maybe instead of bringing, you know, new gadgets, new rings, new weapons, they could just bring a new class. So, and I don't know their update or their class drop rate, what that's going to look like, but they could bring new classes fairly regularly, which is basically going to be a new character drops inside of the game that comes with this, and this, and you could play it in all of these different things. So rather than an interchangeable weapon or gadget or something like that, it would just be another class that you could play, which simplifies it a little bit, and I actually like that. And they made a great point. When we do make our builds, the 95% of players will choose the weapon they want to use, throw in a couple of other things just to kind of to work well with that weapon, and then that's what they do. That's the build they use, and they use that forever. So now it's going to be easier to switch between classes rather than having to build out builds, and I think they'll actually get more turnover of players playing different things.
Yeah. So first things first, before I forget it, to ask production, every time we say Squid Blades on production, you just put with a beep. So
I
players
love
don't
Squid
get,
Blades, man. Bring it back.
Don't get triggered with that word, which is like a...
You can put the squid blade icon over our mouths.
Okay, so
the beep.
So yeah, but I think like you guys explained very well, like because a lot of players were concerned that we're just losing like depth, because like for them theory crafting is like how you express your skill in the game, and basically you're like transferring like skill from theory crafting, which is like, okay, you're like expressing your skill. But if I go on a YouTube channel and I copy this best skill, I'm just like copying another person's skill. So it's like, in a way, a limiting skill expression. Where now we're transferring like skill expression to combat, right? I feel like.
Gameplay skill.
So, and that can be copied. That's something you need to get good. So,
Get
so
good,
yeah,
bro.
we're not like losing. Like, I mean, we are losing depth in when it comes to theory crafting because, I mean, you're not like doing our builds, doing our loadouts, but you're like your skill expression is going to be like through combat.
And I think there's still going to be some theory crafting of like this particular rift. Like, people are going to go on Reddit and go like, oh, I finally beat the nightmare dungeon this week and I used this setup with 3 of my friends. And so there's still going to be that level of theory crafting, but it's going to be a bit more social. It's a bit more like, how do the 4 players that are playing a rift, what combination works? And because again, without the power progression, you're going to have to really figure out, especially for the harder dungeons, how to beat it. They're probably not going to be as hard as they are now, but they're still going to be pretty hard.
Yeah. And I would hope that also we can create deep enough classes that the optimal gameplay is not always obvious. So you have that theory crafting on what is the best way to play this class in this particular rift.
Yeah.
Yep.
One consideration that players suggested a lot is having some sort of like how do I say, like not theory crafting, but at least like some sort of like personalization within classes. I mean, if you think of like think about, for example, Brawl Stars. They started very simple and now they have gadgets, hyper chairs and everything. Do you see a future where that can happen? I mean, we don't need to promise here now, but is it something in mind, or probably not in the first version, right, of the game? But
Yeah, that's probably the second floor of the house.
of course. But
if
like,
we need it.
Yeah, of course. The second floor. Of course, we don't want to talk this in advance, but I mean, if it's something that makes sense, we're not like closed-minded as like class is going to be like this. And
Yeah, I think right now the priority is to just explore the space of the classes and build as many classes as we can and kind of create interesting gameplay.
of course.
And then we don't know. Like maybe we do something like that, maybe we don't, maybe we do something completely different. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're willing to modify their plans based off of what'll make the game more successful, and that's a positive thing.
I mean, we've had discussion about like talents or options within the class, but it's not like obviously better to have them. There's some downsides as well, like the micromanagement of do you have to switch your options every time before you go into the portal, and also like if it's minor changes to class, is it like super interesting? If it's like a really big change to the way you play the class, then why not actually make that a new class completely?
Yeah, I think like one thing that we need to deconstruct here is that like we released our KPI and we said like game is going to be like this and that. That doesn't mean that it's going to be like this forever in the next 10 years. Like
No.
we're going to still keep evolving the game and building the game and adjusting to how players react to those changes.
is.
So like this is just the starting point. This is just like the
Foundation.
the foundations,
The mansion.
exactly. Then we're going to build like the terrace and the garden and everything.
We are being diligent, right? It's metaphor, right?
Yeah. Talking more about classes, how is going to be like the process of collecting and maxing the classes? How is that going to be? Because I think players don't know yet, like if they're going to have all the classes available right away,
good
if they have
point.
to make choices. How's that process going to be?
So I think that's I guess the next question, we also talk about the rewards. But I think that's the main motivation and the main aim of the game, because a lot of feedback we got about the previous version was also like, once you reach elite, like there's no clear goal. And now the goal is to just get all the classes. There's going to be like a very simple economy where you where all the hunting that you do will get you like class tokens, like name TBD. And there's going to be like all the classes available in the shop. You can just decide which one you want.
In a class shop.
In the class shop, yeah. Which is not going to be, you
That's
can't
cool.
buy, like you can't spend money to get class tokens. It's purely free to play, like just like, yeah. And then it's just like, you just play, you kind of figure out what's the next class you want to buy. We're probably going to be, you'll be able to try it out before you buy it probably. You can like do your research on Reddit and...
Yeah, so it's going to be a buffer. Once we launch this meta, this update, there's going to be a certain amount of classes that will be available from the get-go in the class shop. And then every new season, we will introduce new classes.
There we go.
Well, now we are like talking about like 2 new
That's exactly what I was talking about. New seasons come, they can introduce new classes that have basically all new builds. I love that.
classes per month, which is, by the way, the length of a season.
1 month seasons.
But we'll see, right? We'll see how it feels. But for now, that's so at the beginning, yeah, probably between the numbers is still not set in stone, but maybe between like maybe 6 and 10 classes in the shop, in the class shop available from the beginning, and every new season there will be 2 new classes added to the shop.
Yeah, and I think the one interesting thing here is that the class tokens that you grind, we're trying very hard to limit it, so you can't have all the classes, so you kind of have to make a choice. And hopefully this also leads to more variety in the game, because right now if you're like at a particular level, you kind of around you see people all using like very similar gear that they've unlocked around that same level. So now it's like you have to choose. So if there are 10 classes, maybe you can only get 6. So you'll see people using classes that you don't have. It's just going to be this constantly evolving like discussion of, hey, which class should we get? Which class should I get next? If you play a healer, should I go for this one or this one? And then
That's cool.
And even amongst your friends, when you're playing together, you can be like, hey, I'm going to focus on like the DPS classes, and someone can be like, hey, I'll be a bit more tank. And yeah, it's just going to be hopefully a lot more fun.
Yeah, and speaking of rewards, within the class, when you play it, you earn the XP for that class's class track, where you can earn some cosmetic rewards. So when you're playing a specific class a lot, then you can display to other players like you are really the master of this class.
Yeah, and this is a bit
Ooh.
like insider information, but we're probably going to have like a golden weapon at the end, which you can get, which will turn your
Shader.
yeah, it's like more like a shader, so it can turn your weapon golden. But if you buy a weapon skin, it will turn that golden as well. So you
Oh,
can
that's
like
cool.
show off that you really mastered this class.
Okay, yeah, because it's important. Like we're gonna talk a bit later about removing power progression, but that like players also want to showcase their
Yes.
progression in different ways. So if you're removing power, you need to showcase like that progression in different ways, of course. So I guess like the rewards that players are playing for is mostly like class tokens, right? So in this case, like I guess like the rewards that players are playing for is like class tokens, right?
Yes.
And they need to be very mindful of which classes they choose. So this is also like there's also strategy involving like choosing the right classes and
Yeah,
yeah. Actually, one curiosity that I have is that right now in some situations it's actually beneficial for everyone to go with the same very like strong loadouts like and go. But I guess like with this new system, it's punishing if everyone goes with the same class, right? You really need to mix different classes.
yeah.
Or
It situational. It depends on the kind
Of
of.
course.
Maybe there is some rift where everyone takes the same class. Maybe it's not. I think that's also stuff we have to figure out.
The more they talk about this class system, the more I like it. I think from how I'm envisioning it in my head, from what they're saying, I think this is a great move for the game.
But yeah.
all right. So moving on. Expectation did a lot of good questions. I think is a good creator that represents the more hardcore players. And he asked if the game is going to be like more grind based or less grind based. How are you changing in that regard?
Well, I think the philosophy is still the same, that we want you to have a good time, even if you're not spending hours and hours in the game. But then if you do want to spend more hours and devote yourself to it, then that you get some extra rewards from it. So we are trying to hit both of those marks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
we felt that with the other model, if you were not grinding heavy, it was actually punishing.
Yeah, that's true.
If you were not spending your 2 hours, and on a daily basis, and we have some players who spend hours on a daily basis, it was punishing for them. So maybe the way I would answer this question is, obviously, we also think about those who can afford to play, a long time on a daily basis.
Yeah, of course.
So the new meta will not punish them. But we are also super mindful about those who do not have, hours of playtime every day, and those who are, can just, open MoCo 1, 2, maybe 3 times a day. I don't know, a couple of minutes, and maybe do what they need in order to keep up with the rest of the pack. So we try to, in that case, really to cater to both in that case. And I think arguably the previous model was really
grind heavy.
very grindy, and yeah, that's.
So
We don't want that.
somewhere in
Smart.
the middle, maybe a bit less grindy, or maybe the rewards for grinding a lot is a bit diminished in this model. But you can just play as much as you want to. That there are no like.
Yeah, so motivators for both types
Yeah.
of players. That's awesome. Moving on to another hot topic, which is power progression. Maybe not as hot as as the class one and the build one, but still very hot. So basically, to give context, with power progression, you want the possibility of everyone playing together, no restrictions. So someone that's like 2 weeks in the game can play with someone with 1 year, and they can play together. Content is not locked behind the level. This one I resonate a lot with, which is like that feeling of not playing a Rift because you're too underpowered, or that you are so overpowered that it actually makes it boring and easy. And right now, like with no power progression, we can just like balance the Rifts and the dojo exactly like to match the right difficulty. But, and this is a big but, and I understand like this position from a lot of players, creators, and everything, is that you lose that feeling of progress, of seeing yourself getting stronger. It's a trade, right? This is like a huge motivator, especially for RPG. Like you progress and you see your character getting stronger, and you get stronger as you play more. So, can we replace that feeling of progress with different ways? And is visual progression enough with like badges and profile customization? Is this enough? And collecting and maxing classes, are those enough motivators for players to replace that power progression each?
Yeah, I think like when we started off thinking about this new version, it didn't start off with let's remove power progression. It started more with kind of creating this calendar system and everyone can play it together. And that's just like not compatible with power progression, because like how do you even make that work if everyone's playing the same thing? So I think it's just part of the solution. So it's not like we believe visual progression is stronger than power progression or the other way around. It's just that in this model, power progression doesn't fit very well. So
That makes sense.
but we have to replace it with something. So we're doing the visual progression thing. There's a lot of work being done on like making your profile really customizable. You've seen in one of the screenshots, there's backgrounds and there's all sorts of badges and trackers that you can add to kind of show off your prowess.
I think we have to understand that all of this is a trade. So you lose some things to earn some things. There's pros and cons of not having power progression and like not having strong ones. I can tell for me as like my kind of player profile, I hate power progression in MoCo, because when I open a Rift, two things can happen. Either I open a Rift and I see that I'm underpowered and I feel that there's no way I can beat this Rift, or I'm playing Worlds enough to evolve my character and I go to a Rift. It doesn't even matter which loadout that I have. I just go there and like I use my Technosphere or whatever I have, and I clean that because I'm too strong. So for me, Rifts most of the time are not engaging enough unless I have like this really like
Perfect
power level where Rifts are challenging enough but not too hard enough for me to feel that it's impossible. So for me, this is just me. I love that we don't have power progress, because it makes like Rifts much more like rewarding, because I feel like when I open a Rift, there's going to be easy, hard, nightmare modes. I feel like, okay,
Yes.
these Rifts are made for me, are testing exactly my skill, not testing my power. And I think for me, this is amazing. Of course, do we lose that feeling that, oh, my character is strong enough, now I'm ready for this? Yeah, we lose. Everything is a trade. And at the end of the day, we need to make decisions. If it's going to be better or worse, of course, we need to put it out there, test it out, and see how it works or not. Let's see. But not everything is like 100% better than the other option, but we feel like considering this model, this is like the better option.
Yeah.
Let's
like
put it
this
out there
model.
and see.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, I was just going to say
A little
the
more
biggest
casual.
benefit of not having power progression is we can really have meaningful leaderboards. I think that's something that people really didn't like when we removed the leaderboards in chapter 2. But in the old model, it's just not like the leaderboards can't be fair, because you might have a bunch of projects left from the previous chapter. And, but in this model, we can just have a lot of leaderboards all over the place. You can complete
Players
it.
miss
It's
the
nice.
leaderboards too.
There's going to be way less bots because everyone's of the same power. So
Yeah, of course.
there's lots of benefits of it for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Less
and the
bots.
speedrun becomes
True.
even more. That's something that I'm excited. Like I'm an esports nut, and as soon as I have a like opportunity, I would love to develop like some sort of like esports on MoCo, and that's another reason why I love
Heck,
no power progression,
yes.
because like makes esports much more possible, because everyone is playing at the same level. So your progression doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the skill. So we can put players competing against each other without like considering this. I think it's amazing. Personally, I love this idea. I understand why others don't like, but like I'm totally sold out on not having power progression, and I'm super excited to try out like all the maps
I love it.
leveled towards like just how powerful you are, like for everyone, not like considering differences in power between players.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add that what you said, it is actually a big problem in the game currently, that you unlock a new Rift, you're not high power enough for it, you go in, you get your face beaten, then you forget about it for a week, then you go back, then you just stomp it because you're overpowered. So it's actually like within this like really high like power progression curve, actually really rare to go and play the Rift at the exact right spot,
Yeah.
and it's the challenge level it should be. And then you add the other players to it, where some might be underpowered, some might be overpowered, and it's like never the experience that we intended it for to be.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I mean, it's a big change, but big changes are needed for big changes, like for different results. So yeah, let's try it out and see how it works. And I mean, at least for me, it will be amazing. I'm super sold out.
I think the power progression removal was less about removing the power progression and more about people being able to all play together, removing extensive amounts of bots and really just making it a better player experience. It was less about power, more about playability of the game. I think they made that fairly clear. But the removal of power as well is actually a nice change. I like it.
Next question. This came from Tara, Drainer #1 fan, so she loves Drainer. She wants to know more about World of MoCo and particularly about Drainer, as she's a huge fan. So will we focus more on lore?
Lore?
Yeah, basically the question is this, like, for now, just to give a bit context, we feel there's like not, inside the game, there's not a lot of engagement with lore and the founders between the general players. So like all the players, they don't even know, like we saw on the survey that players don't even know who is Jax, Loon and Manny, all of that, because they're like NPCs at the end of the day. However, very engaged players on social, they love these characters. Like our best performing pieces of content on socials is about Luna, Jax and Manny. They talk about them a lot. So it feels like there's some hunger about lore, especially with the most engaged players. So what's the role of lore inside the game?
Yeah. So maybe I can give my thought on this. So I think in terms of like talking about the lore in the world of MoCo, outside of the game, I think we're going to be like still super active. I think we're going to be like sharing bits and pieces all the time. And we've seen that players really engage and are super reactive to that. So we're going to be keeping doing that for sure. Inside the game, this has been really eternal discussion in the team, like where we draw the line between we are like super narrative heavy, and then we push a lot of lore and a lot of stories, and maybe just players a large part of players just don't care about it, right? They're not really necessarily interested, they just want to play. Or we go into no narrative at all, and then maybe the game feels a bit vanilla, without any soul or without. So to be honest, I don't think we found the sweet spot. We don't know where the cursor should be, honestly. But we know that we don't want to be in either of the extreme of that spectrum. So we're going to try a couple of things with that new meta. We're going to be using existing NPC. We're going to be using maybe the apartments, maybe Ellie in the apartment, for example. Could be, for example, telling you from time to time maybe bits and pieces on what's happening around. Or
definitely on our radar to build that system up. And I think the one benefit in this new model is that everyone's going to be experiencing bits of the lore at the same time. So I think it will just be amplified a lot more rather than, like just spread across this progression. And if you start today and you go on Reddit and everyone's discussing Draenor and you're like, who is this Draenor? I have no idea. So I think it just enables us to kind of be a bit more bite-sized with the lore, but also make it more meaningful because it's just everyone's experiencing it at the same time. So
I typically don't engage with lore inside of games. Now, I love the idea of lore if you want to go grab it, but if I'm being very honest, in all the games I play, when it comes to any lore segment, I skip. Because I want to play the game. We're inside of the game to play the game. And I know that there are games that are lore heavy and that's a big part of that game itself or the genre. But I think taking lore and bringing it out onto socials and video and things like that, not inside of the game, maybe pop-ups inside of the, not a pop-up, we don't want pop-ups, but like some type of a menu where the latest new lore of whatever's going on is now on YouTube, on Supercell's YouTube channel, and there's a link to it. For those 5% of players that really dive into the lore of the game, I think that's a better mechanic than forcing it in with dialogue popping up on the screen that you have to kind of click through, that the majority of players, I think it's safe to say, would skip. That's my opinion. If you guys disagree with anything I'm saying or with any thoughts that they're saying, let me know in the comments below.
Yes, a very different delivery mechanism for the lore. Instead of having this big permanent story in the game that everyone experiences on their journey, is this a living thing that goes on, whether you're there or not.
Yeah. I think something that we need to be mindful of, which is like in many years to come, like, I don't know, if a player joins in 3 years and if you do super deep lore, it's like they jump in and like they're like watching the middle of the episode, so they don't know what happened before. Like suddenly, I don't know, this is not canon what I'm gonna say, but like suddenly Luna's mother come with a machine gun that kills all the monsters. This is not canon, so it's just like something that came out, and it was like, what the hell is happening here? Like I don't even know who is Luna, less alone who is Luna's mother. So there's no Luna's mother, but I mean, for sure
Now there is.
now there is.
Oh God! What did he just do?
But yeah, like we need to be mindful of that. That like any player can jump in on any time and still feels like they are inserted in the world of MoCo. But as you said, like not to vanilla, we're at the point where like nothing is happening. So we need to find the sweet spot. I think you phrase it very well. But yeah, like lore is still like still gonna be present in some way.
Yeah, and we discuss it a lot, like way more than you think at least.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question, kind of a hot topic as well, which is about like what kind of genre are we pivoting towards? This was asked by Hamburgland TNL from Discord, but other players also asked this question because I see like, for example, on Reddit, on Discord, that players say that we should do this or that because that's how MMO or an RPG should be. And like do this because Diablo does, do that because World of Warcraft do, just copy that or something that. We have a lot of comments like that. We also have comments that we're trying to do the PvE version of Brawl Stars. Right now we are just like going away from the MMO or ARPG kind of genre and going more towards like building the PvE version of Brawl Stars. So what's our reaction here? Like,
Interesting.
what's genre is MoCo?
Well, I mean, we didn't start the game from like let's make a game of this genre. We have an idea for what the game, how it should be, but I mean, I don't think the genre classification is the important bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe the natural association of MoCo would be, MoCo looks like an MMORPG, but we never intended to build an MMORPG in the team. And maybe people will be surprised to hear that, but it has never been our intention. Obviously, we see World of Warcraft, we see Path of Exiles, we see Diablo as some sort of like very strong references for us because they do a lot of things like right. But we also see what Fortnite does. We also see, what Minecraft does. We also see what, GTA Online does, right? So it's not, we look at a lot of references and maybe something that, like I said a couple of days ago in a team internal meeting that we're not trying to fit into, okay, we're going into the MMO genre or the action, the RPG genre and try to, looking at maybe market share, we try to steal maybe players from here and there. We're just trying to create our own pie, like our own
I
genre.
love that, man. That's
and
great.
why it sounds like maybe, I don't know, possible or arrogant, I don't know, but this has been since the beginning, really our intention. It's very difficult, that's why, to say, what is MoCo? It's like, is it an RPG? No, it's an MMORPG. No, it's it's a multiplayer co-op action game. Maybe with like that has like some light RPG mechanics, right?
But we never like we just want to create something that's unique and new, and that's not like just another clone of an existing game and stuff.
Why make something that's already been made?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because like the closer we get from MMORPG, or if you're trying to do an MMORPG, there's a lot of MMORPGs already out there, a lot of copies of World of Warcraft and Diablos and everything. Do we want to be just one and like going on a very saturated market where there's a lot of sharks swimming out? I mean, or do we want like to be something new and fresh? So yeah, we have to step away a bit from that. I understand because I think a lot of our player base right now is like very like MMO ARPG fans. They are like huge fans, hardcore fans of the game. I see the comments, and of course they get disappointed when we go a bit away from that genre, right? And that's what we're trying to do with this new model. We're like stepping a bit away even more from the MMO ARPG kind of traditional kind of elements. So yeah, that's why I understand some players are a bit disappointed with this new direction because it goes a bit away from what they like. The problem is that like the closer we get from the MMO ARPG, the less unique we are and the less chances of like being like a mass game.
And we're not trying to kind of like we want to cater to a wide audience, so we want something there for the MMORPG players to kind of, for it to feel familiar, but we also want like just regular players to just have fun with their friends, and of course it's way bigger than, like, we're trying to create something that's way bigger than just any one of those genres.
Of course, yeah. At the end of the day, that's what we try to do at Supercell, like creating gender-defining games. You know,
Yeah.
like
So in the future, people will make MoCo-like games.
hopefully, hopefully.
I love that.
And more or less related to this, Rue on Discord asked us if we will have like ultra rare drops from monsters, which it is very popular on this kind of MMO genre.
So, I mean, right now, no. We will have some, like, we're thinking of doing some sort of, like, gacha systems for cosmetics on the free side, where you can get these rare cosmetics
dropping from
certain monsters. But
Free
we're
drop
not going, like,
cosmetic
we
drops.
never had this kind of system where you just keep killing the monsters again and again and again, hoping to get that really cool item. It just makes the game super grindy for people who don't want to play a lot. So I don't think it's a direction. I mean, never say never, but right now,
Of course.
never.
Never say never, but
And
never.
since it's like a huge topic that keeps popping up, how do you feel about the comments on us trying to do a PvE version of Brawl Stars? Does that like resonate with you? I don't think like in any point that we discuss this new meta, we ever like use the word Brawl or Stars in our discussions, right? But I mean, at the same time, I mean, Brawl Stars is a Supercell game that we are very, very proud of. They had like huge success. They have been having huge success with, I think, peaked last year or something. And actually, just for a sideline, it took them a year to reach to a point where they reached last year. That's how we think long term, you know. But that's another topic. But like, even if that's the goal of doing a PvE version of Brawl Stars, we would be super proud of it. Like, Brawl Stars is an incredible game. I'm not saying that we're doing that, but like, we wouldn't have any problem if it was like that.
The short answer is no. We're not looking at MoCo and don't try to transform it into the PvE version of Brawl. But like I said before, we're looking at mini games as reference,
course,
for references. And Brawl Star
It's
is just one reference that also we are looking at, right? They do a lot of things like right. They have been super successful with some of the changes that have been implemented. And it's true that maybe you could see, okay, we're introducing classes. It's very close to brawlers. We're introducing like we're packaging content right now around the season. That's what Brawl does. But we also MoCo is going to be so different in so many ways, and maybe some aspects of the meta and some aspect of how we package the content is similar to Brawl. But Brawl is not also the only one, the only game doing that, right?
Of course, yeah.
There are many successful games that are approaching the same the situation.
And honestly, they'd be silly to not look at previous Supercell successes and take things that worked from there and implement those into their thought process as they're building out MoCo as well. I think there's nothing wrong with it, but I also agree that I don't think it's a PvE version of Brawl Stars. But doing some things that have worked in Brawl Stars and Royale and Clans, I think that would be smart for them, for sure.
In the same ways as we will, so
The truth is that some of the original founders of the team did work on Brawl before.
Yeah.
So of course there's some of that, but like since that the game has gone quite a different route.
Yeah, I mean when this game started, like 4.5 years ago now, it was literally like some people in the Brawl team going like, hey, maybe we should make a PvE Brawl. So I mean, it is part of its like core DNA. But it's way more now. Yeah, now I think it's just evolved into a much bigger thing that we're trying to figure out.
I think the last one that's going to be like big and involves a bit more of discussion is from Simon SCM on Discord. It's an uncomfortable question, but it's good that he asked so we can answer properly.
I like it.
He says like, it feels like the direction is already set without room for true change. Is there room for change? And it's true, like we keep saying that like we're hearing player feedback and we want to build a game with players. But at the same time, it feels like we are like set on this direction, especially with classes. So let's put things here. We're not going to go back to builds just because there's huge noise on Reddit that people are saying that we should go back to builds because it's not consensual. It's not as consensual as it looks like just because like there's a lot of comments on Reddit, right? Because we gather feedback from many sources, and it's quite polarizing. It's more polarizing than it looks like, but it's still an uncomfortable question. So I don't think anyone can say that we are not acting on feedback. And if you read the KPI, all the points, and many people admit that like all the points were identified, like the grindiness, the repetitiveness, all of those things, it's on KPI. We are acting on it. The way that we are acting, that's where you're not like getting consensus, but like we're acting on feedback. That's not the point. The solutions that we're presenting, they are not like generating consensus. At the end of the day, we also need to believe on our vision, right? And we can like there's always like this kind of balance between like we have our vision and we believe in it and we go through it, but also like like trying to be open for feedback. But at the same time, I mean, we have to manage these things quite well. But at the end of the day, how do you feel about like player feedback? How are we going to act on it or not going to act on it? If we're not going to act on some feedback, why aren't we not acting on that feedback? And yeah, let's open the discussion.
Yeah, I would say for the question on the direction, I would say, yeah, I mean, we have the direction that we are going into. We know like what we generally want to do, but any of the specific individual systems or details can be changed. Anything is, we have no sacred cows here.
Okay.
But yeah, of course, we have to believe in what we are doing, that we have the best idea. Of course, we are still having a constant discussion on, like, is this the best version? And if not, then we'll change the plan.
And I'm pretty sure like 2 years from now, it's going to be very different.
Of course, yeah.
Like it's going to be it's a constant evolution. But I think right now the problems are so deep that we need a more fundamental change to fix certain problems in the game.
Of course.
You see what he just said? He just said 2 years from now. So the team clearly knows that this game is going to be here in 2 years. First of all, I love that. Second of all, the team has to have their vision for the game. They can't solely go on what the community, what we have to say, because then it'll be so wishy-washy what the game is, because no one's going to all agree. The community has different pockets of people who believe different things. So they have to have their structure, their foundation for the game, their plan for the game, what's going to happen, and then they can make changes to little things based within that foundation, based off what the community thinks, what sentiment looks like, and things like that. So we need to remember, we, the community, are not building this game. We're able to give feedback to help decorate it along the way and lead it in a direction that we think is right as players. But at the end of the day, Supercell is developing the game, and honestly, they're the experts at it because of their track record.
And then after that, if it doesn't fix it, maybe we'll do another big change and like do something completely different. But I think we just have to realize the potential, and it's going to be constantly evolving. So there's no like.
And I think we talked about that before, but there's when we take decisions on this is how the game is going to look like, we're going to be working on that. There's a lot of inputs, right? That we are putting on the table, and then you'll say, what do we do, right? So obviously there's community feedback, and it's a huge input for us. We looked at the feedback a lot, and it guides us a lot. There is the data, right? The data that you get from qualitatively, quantitatively, right? There's a lot of data, and we've been live, since March, so there's a tons of data that we can look at. And there is also obviously, our own, the team's intuition, right? And the team's, touch, right? On how we feel we should tackle the problem that we have. So I think it's a matter of how we mix all those inputs.
Of course.
And as you said, we cannot please everyone, sadly. But right now, the whole team is like, super bullish and super convinced that this is the best, foot forward that we can have. So we go 100% with that, and we see how it goes.
Sorry, I think one benefit of this model, which we also talk a lot about, is that it's super reactive, because it's seasonal and nothing is permanent. So we can make bigger changes in the future and react to feedback way faster in this new model. So I think that's another big benefit for us. So if we kind of, after the community's played it and we get feedback, it's just easier for us to implement changes and think about the feedback and think of ways to handle the feedback, compared to the old model, which was this giant bulky thing. And then if we're suddenly like, hey, we think like 10-player dungeons are better than 4-player dungeons, just something like that would take like months to go to all the dungeons, change them to 10-player, make it like it's just a nightmare. So I think a part of this change is also to be more reactive to feedback. So it's like it sets us up to constantly evolve and change the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course for the moment right now, when we post the KPI, the players will kind of get the idea of what it sounds like. But for many of these things, like how do the classes play, you need to actually feel it. So while we, of course, are listening, we still, some of these things we just have to put in front of the player and then hear the feedback again.
That's a good point. I think like first, like there's one very natural human, like let's say, behavior, which is like resistance to change. That's natural to all of us. So when you put something that is so different than the original, of course some players that we have won't like the new game. Some players will drop MoCo, let's be honest. Some players are very like MMO, let's say, heavy kind of motivators that the game might not resonate with them anymore. I think Cairo said in this video, and I think he put it very well, is that like, maybe MoCo won't be the game for you anymore. We can't please everyone, as you said. Now, the thing is, I think I lost a bit on my thoughts. Let's go back on track. Okay, the thing is, KPI was a wall of text that doesn't even display very well our current version. As you said very well, we need to put the version to players. Hopefully we have like already like in November we'll already have like a playtest with creators, and we need to put like the classes and the new version and everything out there for players to feel it more. Yeah. Because with a wall of text, and maybe it's our fault that we didn't explain some things correctly. Of course, now it's easier to talk. Maybe we didn't talk about classes or showcase classes enough for players to feel like how cool they are, how amazing they are, right? So I mean, let's first like. Let's hope that the community trusts us, because like, I mean, we love this game more than anyone. Like I was gonna say like a F word, so let's stop here, but we really love this game. Like we are super passionate about it. We are passionate about like putting this game, like making this game the best mobile game in the world, or the best game in the world, why not? That's our passion. We are super driven. We love MoCo. That's our life. We spend like hours and hours just thinking about MoCo. Sometimes I feel like I think about MoCo 24/7. That's my whole life. So like, please trust us. We want the best interest for the game. If you want the game to succeed even more, the interest is ours even more than anyone else. So we have all the information. We have a lot of information, a lot of inputs that no one else has to make the best decisions. So trust us, because we're gonna like make this game better and better, and
it's going to be great. Like I think it's going to be. It's really.
I believe it.
We already have some very early versions we're testing out, and it's just like way more fun with the classes and everyone jumping in together. It's just like it creates for like a lot of fun moments.
Yeah. So let's move on like a bit quicker because of time, but still answering questions. So Alexarius from Reddit asked like, what's the idea about monsters' HP and damage being so punishing for players? So I guess there's a lot of feedback about game difficulty being a bit too punishing, especially for late elite players. So yeah, where does this come from, this difficulty?
Yeah, I would think the question is probably specifically for the elite worlds.
Yeah.
And that's something we wanted to experiment with, adding more difficulty towards the end game to have some different types of challenges that maybe players would tackle differently. But it seems from the feedback that it's not really landing as we wanted it to.
Too hard for some
players. Won't be doing that or scaling down. Luckily for the new system, new meta, we can do these types of changes much faster. So the reaction time is going to be much more pleasing.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not like a mistake. It's something we deliberately thought might be cooler if it's harder and you really feel like you have to grind and level up and get stronger. But it was just a miss. And
of course, yeah. And one thing that I want to also add is that like there's some community feedback about like us not communicating enough in the last 2 months and us not reacting to this feedback, which I totally agree, and we own this mistake. I think like we were like a lot locked in on planning the future of MoCo, and because of that, the present was a bit like maybe not as fastly considered as we wanted. This is not our standard, and it's not something that we want to work. It's not our way to work whenever the game is like more stable and everything. Once again, going back to making some adjustments and some sacrifices, planning on the future. So maybe like we left the present a bit left out. We had to make choices, but like we totally agree with this feedback. In my part, maybe I wasn't communicative enough in these last 2 months because I was like also trying to figure out like what's the direction, and I wanted to, whenever I communicate, to bring something meaningful to the community. But completely 100%, I agree with this feedback. It wasn't right to not be communicative in the last 2 months and not giving player feedback, and maybe adjusting to these feedbacks and balance changes maybe comes a bit too late, but it's coming. It's going to be way less punishing. We're going to release like the balance changes this month already in October. So it's coming. Did we react quick enough? We didn't. We're going to do better next time for sure.
At the same time, they can't react before they actually know all the answers to the questions, right? Like there was a lot of decision making going on with this team. I think we got to give them a little bit of grace that maybe they weren't ready to share with us the information because they weren't 100% sure of how things were going to look. But now they are, so they're putting together this nice podcast.
Sure. We are reaching almost the end. Question for team, a juicy one from Elite on X. Is killing MoCo a possibility? And I understand where this comes from.
Let's do a very short answer.
No.
Yeah, no. No, we're not. We're not.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
We're
we're-
fully committed to making it work and figuring out
Yes.
how to get this game to be the best game.
It's the
ever.
answer we want, boys.
And to clarify something, because players see, oh, MoCo only has bots, has like a player base is too small, and we see it like compared to other Supercell games, because sometimes people post this comparing like the revenue between MoCo, and they see, oh, MoCo is failing because they are not making money. Now, this is like
But that's on purpose.
that's on purpose. That's our decision. Luckily, we are like in a company that's like healthy. So if you wanted like to put the game out there, like doing a lot of ads or promoting the game like crazy, we could bring millions of players to MoCo. The thing is that like if players are quitting MoCo after 2 weeks, why are we like attracting millions of players to just
To
like
lose
burning them out? There's no point. First, we need like to make sure that like players like to play the game for as many years
Yeah.
as possible, right? And not just for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we can like go strong on MoCo. So if you see MoCo on like
2
not
weeks.
doing money or whatever it is, it's not because the game is failing or anything. It's because we're still testing out. We're still like developing the game. And as soon as we're ready, then we're gonna like push the button and go strong.
It's, I mean, you know, we get the question, right? And it's very easy to compare MoCo to the other like Supercell games, but we can't compare MoCo to other Supercell games because literally we've been in very like low key and invite only for several months, right? For the purpose of
Testing.
giving us really the freedom and the room for testing, experimenting, and not have the problems of being a big game, you know.
Such great points right there. MoCo was invite only forever. And what they just said is, and something that I know from this space, is that when games want players, they have advertising dollars. That's what leads to initial success of mobile games. And yes, they've been doing some small advertising, nothing crazy. They need a player base to be able to test things out. But what they're learning is that players are leaving after 2 weeks. So why keep spending the advertising money on players that are going to leave in 2 weeks? Wait until you have the game that's going to make them addicted and be a long-term player. Then do the advertising, which is anticipated comes after this. I mean, how many players do you know that started playing Clash of Clans because they saw the Super Bowl commercial 10 years ago? Advertising dollars bring in players, then the game has to be good enough to hold the players. They're waiting for that, and then they're going to click the button, as they said.
Then we decided to remove the invite system so that we could get more players, right? And see, you know, now that we were opening the gates, see, you know, how players were responding to that. And but we haven't really invested a lot in, you know, getting big and having a big share of voice and really acquiring, you know, or getting a lot of users in our game. We haven't done that. It's on purpose. And whenever we feel ready, whenever, you know, touching wood, that those changes are positive, we'll go big. We'll go big.
Yes.
From the get-go, keep it kind of small, get some actual players in enough to get
Go
good
big.
feedback, good data, and then like assuming that when we launch, like it's probably not going to be the best version of the game initially. We will need to do some changes and modifications to it to reach that like ideal version of the game.
Pinnacle of success.
Yeah. So basically, like when players say like we are killing the game because we are abandoning this for 2025. So here's the thing: like 99.9% of like the population in the world, they don't even know that MoCo exists.
Yeah.
So the game is not even didn't even born yet. So it's not dead. It's not even born yet. For 99.9, it doesn't even exist in the reality. So MoCo will be like a new game, maybe in 2026, 2027. We don't know. But like it's not even born yet for 99.9% of the world's population. So just like, take
We're
this
not
into
selling
account.
the house.
Yeah.
The house was a bit too small. We are renovating it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have the house party without.
Back to the house again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That was not rehearsed.
So yeah, apart from building houses, I like this question from Rahul Kumar on X. He asks, how many people work for MoCo? If less,
good
then why
question.
don't you increase employees so things can be done faster? I think this is like a very honest question because for us that work at Supercell, we understand that things aren't as simple. But from on the outside, yeah, I mean, it's obvious. Like, if you need to reach a goal, why don't you just hire people to make it faster? So, the question is like, would we deliver the update 5 times faster if we had 5 times more Ayushmans and Elis? And I mean, this is a question that
My name is Antoine.
no, but I'm saying like because they do design, you know what I mean? Okay, and Antoine's as well, and maybe João's, why not? So yeah, like, how do you see this? How would the team be with 5 Ayushmans?
Oh man, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think our team is pretty big right now. It's definitely like we're still ramping up. We're still steadily growing the team because there's just so much content to be made and stuff. So I don't think, but I don't think in the short term, in a few months, like taking something that takes 4 months to make. I think right now, if we started hiring, it would not make any difference. Like by the time we get the people, they've kind of figure out the tech, get their laptops, like install Git, like the update will be ready. So I think.
Yeah.
We are more focused on the future and scaling up in a meaningful way, so that in years to come we can like kind of make content faster and everything. But I think in the short term, it doesn't work like that. It's just like
There's also some benefits to a smaller team. The smaller you are, it tends to be easier to make these big changes,
Yeah.
get everyone aligned and everyone working for the new direction. But I mean, yeah, we are growing the team, but like it's not one-to-one that you get a new person and that you get that much more
exactly.
development power. Like
it's way faster when you're smaller, at least for these kind of changes.
Yeah,
So I think
even for decision making and
Yeah.
I think like us having a smaller team also ensures that like we all have a voice. Me as a community manager, like if I work in a big team, another company, I mean I would just stick to my very community manager roles, and I feel like in this team I'm much more than a community manager. I give my opinion and I participate in so many tasks that are not even community manager related. So sometimes I don't even know what I'm a community manager mainly, but sometimes I think sometimes I even feel that I'm meddling with other tasks that are not mine. But that's like the freedom that
I like that.
we're
we
doing
have.
this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's not job description.
yeah, exactly. That's another thing. So we all like do a bit of everything if we want. Like so I think that's something amazing here at Supercell, especially. One question, Michelle, who works with our Japanese community, and she was super kind to bring like Japanese community questions. Some of them are already like repeated questions from that we already answered, but a lot of Japanese players were concerned about elite modules. What's going to happen to the elite modules?
Yeah, so I think this, with the new restructuring of how the gears work and moving them into classes, I think the old gear system is just gone. So unfortunately, the elite modules are gone. You get to keep your title, because all the cosmetics will carry forward. So if you got the elite module from the first chapter, you will still have your chapter 1 elite hunter title and chapter 2 elite hunter title, but it's just not compatible. And we really don't want to just for that add this layer of complexity that is not required in the game just to support these 3 elite modules that we made, because we are kind of removing everything else and reimagining the whole gear game. So it's just unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it
Elite modules are being cut. Elite dash, healing are gonna be gone. That's okay. It's fine. Yeah, some people are going to be upset that they grinded for it and then they lost it. But the titles that you get and the cosmetics that you get, the clout you got from that grind, you'll still have.
It is what it is. Like if it doesn't fit in the current system, like we have to take them away. And by the way, a lot of concerns from the community about, not a lot, but a few concerns about like the compensation. We're still figuring out, so we won't talk much about it here. But the only thing that we can say is we're going to be generous, right? It's not going to be like 10 more gold for Elite 100, you know. It's going to be like
That's why we're taking a bit of time really to think about what the best compensation plan could look like. That's why we didn't put too much details on the latest KPI, and we're not giving too much details today because still there are a couple of like things that we need to iron out. We want to be as fair as possible, as generous as possible for the players who have been with us, you know, since the beginning. So yeah, more soon.
Yeah.
okay.
So basically what they're referencing is you're going to get Mo Gold or something like that for the progress and things that you've unlocked that are no longer inside of the game. But they don't want it to be an insignificant amount. They're figuring out what that's going to be to have a good balance for the stuff that you've done inside of the game. And that Mo Gold obviously can be used to spend in the shop on different Mo Gold related items.
But we also at the same time, I guess, don't want to make it so some players just have way more stuff because they got it from the compensation, and then it just be like they won't get to experience the game like how it's supposed to be experienced. So that's why we're kind of leaning on making it more cosmetic focused for now.
I like that.
But yeah, more details
Soon.
Soon.
Yeah, soon, exactly. And our final question for today, from a creator called Vadoki. No, Vadoki, you're not going to have Barbarian Hut Evolution on MoCo, sorry. No one understood this. Basically, Vadoki is like a Clash Royale creator, and he's obsessed with Barbarian Hut Evolution for some reason. He's like bullying the team to put that EVO on Clash Royale, and they are not doing so. It's like his life mission. But no, MoCo won't have that, but like now focusing. He's asking if we are open to add aiming. This is a question that sometimes pops, like we have this feedback, like this question, like, are we gonna add aiming? Aiming will change the game, would change the game by a lot. Would allow more skill expression as well, but
I'm going to say that they're not going to add aiming and that they shouldn't, because if they ever want to port it over to PC, it would be some type of a technical problem. And I get the feeling that one day they're going to want this type of a game, this genre, although it's a genre melding type game. I think they're going to want to try to bring it to PC to make it one of the best games in the world. That's me going out in a hunch. I could be wrong, but I think that an aiming mechanic that would be that would work both on mobile and PC would be difficult. Let's see if I'm right or wrong.
at the same time, it would change the nature by a lot. So how are we open to this idea?
Oof.
It's a question that someone brings up every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be fair, the very, very first version of MoCo did have aiming, which the very first playable that we had in the company in 2020, you could aim the weapon.
Okay, I didn't know that.
2020.
But, we did remove it. I think there are some reasons for it, which we go through every 6 months because we bring it up. I think one is that we just want to keep it a bit casual. The second point is if we want to eventually maybe support controllers and like look at other platforms, and we can't do the brawl style like aiming there. I have a whole list. I came prepared. There's also this, like for example in brawl, it's like you release to shoot, but for us it would be like you kind of just hold the thing, and it just feels a bit clunky. It's not very nice because you don't have that feedback of I'm leaving it to shoot. It's more like there's this brawler called Amber, and it's like kind of how her controls are. And yeah, and then I think we just also the main reason is that we believe like we can keep this casualness where there is still enough skill expression, especially with the classes, of like finding your positioning, or maybe with some more complex classes we could have like pseudo aiming where it prefers bosses over, like I don't know, we can do more cool stuff with the classes now, where maybe there is some super complex classes which allow you to kind of tag a monster and then shoot it, or I don't know. But I think like the conventional aiming that like for example Brawl has, I don't think we've like Alice said, like we discuss it a lot and it just comes up as a topic every 6 months or so, but till now there's not a very compelling argument that it's clearly better. And it does create this huge gap between players who can do it and players who don't want to do it. So who do you balance for? It's just a very loaded question.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that at first might look good in theory, but then when you see in practice, it's like it doesn't look good at all. Also would be like the next step for the PvE version of Brawl Stars. So yeah,
that's where we draw the line.
Yeah, like no, exactly. Line is drawn. We live in the same neighborhood but different house.
Wow, man. Where it keeps going.
Keeps going. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we went through all the questions. I think it was great. It was our first Mo Convo. I like this name. It's very sweet. I mean, once again,
is it Mo Convo or Mo.convo?
It's written as mo.convo, but I mean, we don't say mo.co, so I think we don't say mo.convo. Actually, just a curiosity, probably the name of the dev, people ask this, so probably the name of the dev video is going to be mocoms, so mo.coms. So yeah, thank you guys once again to join me and answer like community questions. I think this is very valuable. I'm sure they will love to know you better and hear the reasons behind some of our decisions. For now, we're going to work hard on the game. So let us cook. We're going to like for sure make the game even better than how it is. MoConvo is going to be back in November. I'm going to bring some creators to discuss more. And hopefully by November, we will have like some sneak peeks, maybe even playing with like, let's say a half or a beta build with creators. So we're going to probably by then we're going to see much more about classes and how this new MoCo is about. So yeah, that's it. It was great. Thanks you for watching. Thank you for sticking with us. Hugs and ladybugs. See. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hugs
do
and
another-
ladybugs, man. That was really great that they went through all that. Very in-depth video, very long video here. But for those of you that really want to know the future of MoCo, let me know your thoughts on the future of MoCo. Are you going to be patient enough to wait to dive in when the new year comes with the new rendition of it with classes and more? Or are you someone that's going to just kind of forget about it for now and maybe come back to it in the future? I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to seeing what they have to say over in November as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can be up to date on anything relating to MoCo, because I bring you everything that is relevant, and I appreciate you guys using code ECHO in game. Have a great day, guys.